one important concept of theory in this particular strings chapter. As such, we don't expect anything as a theoretical concept in this particular chapter. Only programs will be there. If it has to be, then there will be only one question to explain the concepts of String.h header file, or explain the various library functions of this particular string library functions or String.h, or they might ask you to explain the meaning of some string functions, explain any 4 string functions. So what are the various string functions which we are going to discuss in this entire video? As such, there are n number of string functions, but the one which are important for our syllabus and the one which are important from the programming aspects will deal with only those concepts. Let's take up the functions which we are going to discuss in this entire video. The very first function which we are going to discuss is strlen, which is said to be a string length function. Basically, this function is used to understand or count the number of characters. Later on, we'll see in detail. strcpy stands for string copy. strcat stands for string concatenation. strcmp is to compare 2 strings. strcmpi, there is a function which is used to compare 2 strings without case. strrev, which is used to reverse a string. There are many functions of this. Let's discuss each of these functions in detail one by one. So, how to present the first function? Let me use the first function as strlen. What are things which you're supposed to write for every function? The very first thing which you need to do is, what is the description of this particular function? So, I'll say the description of this function is string length. Then I'm supposed to say what this function is used for. The application of this function is used to calculate the length of the string. How many characters are there in that particular string? That information is provided by strlen function. And then what I need to do is, I need to tell what it accepts, what it returns. So the very first is the description of the function. Second is what it accepts. So this function is used to calculate the length of the string. So description, and then the brief description in statement format. Here it is in a word format, here it is in a statement format. And then next is what it accepts and what it returns. It accepts a string as input, a character array as input, and returns an integer value which corresponds to the total number of characters in the string. Let's take a simple example. And finally, I'm supposed to put a program and illustrate this particular function. Let's start a simple main function. I'll not be interested in those header files. Believe that they are there. Let me define a character array as a char ch empty brackets equals to a, b, c, d. So assume that there is no this one bracket, this is semicolon. So I've initialized a string at this place. Let me take an integer variable as say int l, and I'll say l equals to strlen of ch. And then here I'll say printf length equals to %d, comma l. So I'm supposed to now put a simple example. Try to be as simple as possible when illustrating an example, because you are supposed to write this for 4 different functions or 2 different functions or 3 different functions. You can't carry out a lengthy program and remember that. Take a simple program. Define a character array, assign a string of your choice. Take the return value. First is the input, second is the output. Set the input string and then store the output into variable L and display that particular output. Now, what it does? So here, what it does is ch stores the content, that is A, B, C, D and null character. Int L, L equal to strlen ch. What strlen does? This strlen function, which belongs to a header file called as string.h, calculates the total number of characters in this particular array called as ch. Now this is my array ch. It will not count the space occupied by null character 1, 2, 3, 4. It gives me the count as 4, and that count is stored into L. And here the output which comes is length equals to 4. Length equals to 4. So here we will take up the length of this particular string as 4 characters. Clear that? So you are supposed to write 4 points for each of these functions. The first point is the word description about the function, strlen string length. Then I'm supposed to give a sentence description about the function. This function is used to calculate the length of the string. The third point is what it accepts and what it returns. It accepts a character array or a string as input and returns an integer value that corresponds to the total number of characters. And finally, what I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to put a program to illustrate this particular string. So I have described strlen in this video. Let's continue with the second library function, that is strcpy. As the name itself says, first is the word description, string copy. Next, what this function is used for. This function is used to copy the contents of one string to another string. And then what it accepts? It accepts 2 character arrays as input and will not return any value. Right? So here what I'll say is, I'll say strcpy. Here the destination array, comma, the source array. Remember this particular syntax. Whenever you are using strcpy, always the source array should be there on the right hand side. The contents of source array are copied onto this particular destination array. So this will accept 2 character arrays or 2 strings as input. It accepts 2 strings as input and will not return any value. Since there will not be any variable on the left hand side. Let's put a simple program to illustrate this particular string function. So I'll say main. Let me take a character array as a of empty brackets equals to say a, b, c, and let me take one more character array as b of at, on which I want to copy this particular a. Right? So now I'm not supposed to write a program logically. I'm supposed to just copy the contents of what to what? A to b. So here I'll say strcpy. Where is the source array? The source array is a, so that has to be on the right hand side. Where is the destination array? That is in b, so I'll say b at this place. Now this function copies the contents of a to b. When I say it copies the contents of a to b, a of 0 is copied to b of 0. A of 1 is copied to b of 1. A of 2 is copied onto b of 2. A of 3 is copied onto b of 3, and so on till a null character from a is copied to b. So a of the index where null character is situated is copied at the b of the index of null character. And here I'll say printf. What it does? So I'll say copied string is %s, comma b. I'm not supposed to display any integer value. I'm supposed to display the string value. Hence it is %s at this place. So assume that a is a string which stores a, b, c and null character. B is a larger string which stores 80 characters. What strcpy does? Copies this a of 0 to b of 0. Copies a of 1 to b of 1. Copies a of 2 to b of 2. Copies a of 3 to b of 3. And then rest all will be garbage. It will not be copying any of these contents. So the contents of a are copied onto b one by one. And then the copied string is %b. So here I'll say this. So %s, comma b. So the output which is going to be displayed is copied string is what? B. B is what? A, B, C. Have you written any logical instruction? No, we are not written any logical instruction. So these are the 2 functions which we are going to have in the string library function called as strcpy. Clear with that? So first function was strlen. Second function was strcpy. Right? Now let's deal with the third function, that is strcat. So let's discuss the third function, that is strcat. strcat stands for string concatenation. String concatenation. Now, as usual, we are supposed to put a 3-point description and then an example to illustrate this particular description. First point is the word description. The word description is what? String concatenation strcat, and then a sentence description. This function is used to concatenate concatenate, add, join, append, all are one and same. This function is used to join or add two strings. Assume that I have a string A and I have a string B. I want to add B to the end of A. So if I use copy, what it does is it will overwrite the contents of B onto A. Here I'm not supposed to overwrite, I'm supposed to join. So whenever I wish to join, in that case I'll be using strcat function, right? So strcat is used to combine or join two functions. Okay. What it accepts? It accepts two strings as input and will not return any value. So as usual, strcat also works the same way. So here, your destination string and it is source string. What it is it the contents of source are added at the end of the destination string. Let's take an example, and with the example we'll illustrate the syntax of this particular strcat. I have a main function. In this, let me define a character array as a of 80 equals to say new. Here I'll put a manual space and then I'll put a semicolon, and then let me say char b of 80 as a Delhi. Now what I'll do is I want to copy the contents of B onto A. For that, what I'll do is I'll use a library function called as strcat. Which string has to be copied? B. B has to be copied at the end of what? At the end of A. So hence I'll say A. Here, the contents of B are appended at the string end of A. So it means that this A is now the modified string. So I'll say printf modified string is %s, A. Now let's guess the output in this. Before I guess the output, let's work with this particular example. So A is a string which has got 80 spaces. In this I have stored a new, and then null character is automatically appended. Then I'll have a B which stores a string called as Delhi. Right. Now what happens in strcpy? In strcpy, the corresponding locations are copied. It means that B of 0 is copied onto A of 0. B of 1 is copied onto A of 1, and so on and so on. When I say strcat, what it does is B of 0 is now copied at the location where null character is stored. Now suppose if I had believed that there is a blank space, and then this is a null character. This is my blank space. So what it does is B of 0 is now copied to null character location. So /0 is now D. Then the next corresponding locations is E. The next corresponding location is L. The next corresponding location is H. The next corresponding location is I. And then the next corresponding location is /0. What happens to this particular A? A is now the modified string new space /0 is replaced by D and then ELHI and then new character. So here strcat is going to copy the first character of source string to the destination character's null character position. strcpy source character first character to the destination character's first character. Right? That is about the contents of strcat. So if I guess the output is modified string is new space DELHI Delhi. Clear? Right. Now that is about the third library function strcat. Let's deal with the last library functions in our relevant studies is strcmp. This is called as string compare. Now what this function does? This function is used to compare two strings. Whenever we want to make a comparison of two strings, in that case we use this particular library function. So as usual, it accepts two characters as input and returns an integer value. So suppose if I say k equals to strcmp a comma b. Now these are the two strings which I want to compare. K is an integer value. Depending upon the integer value which is returned to k, we can give status on this particular a and b. What are those values? If k equals to 0, it says, if k equals to 0, it says strings A is matching with B. If K is any positive value, K is greater than 0, then in that case A is greater than B. If K is a negative value that is less than 0, that indicates A is less than B. The value of K will decide about the relation of A and B. How? Now, rather than putting this in an example format, what we'll do is we'll take up a different way of explanation. Let's assume a string as A which stores A, B and C and slash character. Let's say B as again A, B, C and slash 0. How strcmp works? strcmp is said to be a ASCII based comparison. So what it does is it copies or it compares, subtracts the ASCII value of A of 0 with B of 0. Subtract the ASCII value of A of 0 with B of 0. If the difference is 0, then go ahead and compare the next two. Yes, in this A of 0 is 97 and B of 0 is 97. 97 minus 97 is what? 0. Then go ahead and compare the next two. B minus B is still 0. Then go ahead and do the next comparison. C minus C is 0. Slash 0, ASCII value is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. Throughout this, what was the difference? The difference was 0. Hence, your K is 0 in this case, which means that string A is matching with string B. Now, assume that string A has got A, B, C and null character, and B has got, say, capital A, capital B, capital C and slash 0. What this indicates? See here, I have the length the same. A has got 3 characters, B also has 3 characters. Let's subtract these two. Small a minus capital A. What is the ASCII value of small a? 97. True. And capital A is 65. If you have forgotten that, we studied long back and we have been using this in the programming language. Small a has ASCII value as 97 minus 65. 97 minus 65 is plus 32. Did I find a non-zero difference? Yes, I found a non-zero difference. If I find a non-zero difference, then you are not supposed to proceed further. There is no fun in doing any subtraction operation. The subtraction operation of characters of A with characters of B had to be done only till I find a non-zero difference. At any point when I find a non-zero difference, I'll stop that. What is that difference? That difference was plus 32. So K equals to plus 32. Plus 32 indicates what? Plus 32 says that string A is greater than B. Here 0 indicates A equals to B. Now let's try one more example. Suppose if I have A with a string, say A, B, C, and let's say this as say capital B and small c, and this B with A, capital A and say capital D and say small c. What it is now? Small a minus small a, 0, 0, move on to the next space. Capital B minus capital D. What is the ASCII value of capital B? Capital B is 66 and capital D is 68. 65 small a, 66 small b, 65 a, 66 b, 67 c, 68 d. 66 minus 68 is what? Minus 2. So here your K will get a value as minus 2. When I say minus 2, what that says? That says that A is less than B. So A is less than B. I'll once again remind that this is not a length based comparison, it is a ASCII based comparison. So a ASCII based comparison will always say compare the ASCII value of these characters and then check whether the contents are positive, negative or 0. 0 same, positive greater than and negative less than. That is about the concepts of this particular string library function strcmp. So you can take up different situations, different examples and check what will be the return value of this particular part. This is a case sensitive ASCII based comparison. If you want to have a non-case sensitive comparison, you can say strcmpi as the function. That is about the various string library functions. Thank you.